Clouds are bending low, who toil along the climbing way with painful steps and slow. Look now for glad and golden hours come swiftly on the wing. Oh, rest beside the weary road and hear the angels sing.
Sackville's favorite house show venue is presenting these.
Hey, this is Aiko, and you're listening to CHMA 106.9 FM in Sackville, New Brunswick.
The Sackville Food Bank has launched its annual holiday turkey drive, helping to make the season a little bit merrier for those in need in the Tantramar community. Now, until Christmas, the local campaign aims to fundraise for 150 small turkeys or chickens. Those who would like to help can donate turkeys, chickens, monetary or gift card donations in support of this food drive. Plant-based options and other holiday essentials such as stuffing, cranberry sauce, biscuit mix, canned vegetables and fruits, or Christmas cookies and candy are all welcome. The drop-off is at 9B Willow Lane here in Sackville during food bank hours from Tuesday 5 to 9 p.m. or Wednesday 8 to 11 a.m. or at the Second Chances thrift store at 18 Lawrence Street on Mondays and Wednesdays to Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. For more information, you can call 506-536-4164 or send a message to the Sackville Food Bank's Facebook page. And now it's time for your CHMA News. We're broadcasting from Sackville, New Brunswick, the heart of the Maritimes and the traditional and unceded lands of the Mi'kmaq people. Coming up in the next 15 minutes, we'll have your local news, Atlantic update, weather, sports update, and some community announcements.
Hello, this is Clinton Davis with CHMA Local News. NB Power executives spent nearly 2 hours answering pointed questions from Tantramar Council Wednesday night as concerns mounted over a proposed gas turbine facility planned for Centre Village. Let's get right into it. This Wednesday, after weeks of mounting public pressure, Tantramar Council convened a special meeting to question NB Power about the proposed Riggs project, a large-scale turbine facility planned for Centre Village within the Chignecto Isthmus. The Isthmus is Nova Scotia's only land connection to the rest of North America, a region with ecological, transportation, and power infrastructure significance that has drawn national attention for years. The project was first made public in July, with both council and residents saying they learned about it at the same time as everyone else, on social media. Before any technical discussion began, Mayor Andrew Black spent more than 7 minutes laying out strict ground rules. He reminded the public that bylaws prohibit signs, clapping, or disruptions in council chambers, and cautioned councillors to limit themselves to single questions rather than extended commentary. Certain residents, feeling fear around what negative impacts this new project may have on their community, mumbled disapproval of the bylaws from within the chairs. Black stressed the stakes.
So this is an opportunity for us as elected officials to ask questions of NB Power in a public setting where you can hear those answers. So disruptions will cause maybe not as many questions to be asked. So again, respectfully, please, if you can follow the rules, I think it would work to everybody's advantage. We've asked for the opportunity to ask questions of NB Power. You've asked for this to happen.
NB Power's Chief Commercial Officer, Brad Cody, led the presentation with members of his team, Stephen Cooper, Matt Gorman, and Jordan Russell on the sidelines, ready to answer any question posed. With only 5 minutes allotted, he framed the project as technically complex and time-sensitive.
So I just touched in on the acronym RIGS, Renewable Integration and Grid Security. I feel like we're not talking enough about the renewable integration piece of this. It's a big part of our story.
Cody described the facility as a hybrid system designed to stabilize the grid as more wind and solar come online. Central to that argument was what he called synchronous condenser technology, equipment that does not burn fuel and produces no emission.
This does not use any natural gas or emit any emissions whatsoever, but it allows the grid to have more renewables than otherwise we would need.
Cody said the Center Village location was chosen not because it was ideal, but because it sits at a rare intersection of existing transmission lines and the Maritimes and Northeast gas pipeline, all on one single parcel of land.
And we scoured New Brunswick for the right site for this project. There is no ideal site for a project like this.
He argued that placing both infrastructures on one property reduced environmental impact compared to building new corridors across multiple landowners. On batteries, several councillors pressed NB Power on why battery storage wasn't being prioritized instead of gas. Councillor Josh Gauguin pointed to NB Power's own data showing peak demand occurs in narrow morning and evening windows.
These critical times being between 7 and 9 on cold days. Sounds like the perfect candidate for battery storage.
Cody said batteries were studied extensively, but current technology could not meet multi-day reliability needs.
We had many days that we were very close to running out of power in New Brunswick. We didn't quite get there, thank God, is what I'd say. But many days we were getting very close to the wire, and we were down to our last maybe 100 to 200 megawatts available in terms of additional supply. And it's not even in the heart of winter yet.
He added that NB Power has relaunched a new battery procurement process and is actively seeking multiple projects, but says batteries alone cannot replace grid-scale backup. On Indigenous involvement, the absence of NB Power's Indigenous Relations representative did not go unnoticed. Mayor Black asked directly about consultation with First Nations, including Fort Folly First Nation, located within Tantramar.
They are an incredible partner to our community. So from NB Power's side, what does that conversation look like then, that relationship with First Nations communities in New Brunswick around this project and what NB Power is expecting to get out of it?
Cody acknowledged concerns and said NB Power has ongoing relationships with Mi'kmaq leadership across the province.
We have a 105-year history. We were founded in 1920, and we didn't always do things the right way. And heck, we still don't always do things the right way. But we're trying to learn from those mistakes.
He pointed to recent Indigenous-led wind power agreements as evidence of change, but admitted that the Center Village site emerged late in the process after another location failed environmental permitting due to the Fish Act. And on that East Coast courtesy, or lack of it, Mayor Black returned repeatedly to what he called a breakdown in trust.
Why weren't we informed of this project before the press release came out? It was shocking to find out that way, particularly for a project that is proposed to be as big and as controversial as this one.
Cody responded,
Said that was a miss. We were trying to identify all the different stakeholders that need to be notified of this, and it was a miss that Tantramar wasn't on that list. So sincere apology about that. There was no intent for disrespect or to feed what you clearly identified as you're feeding mistrust here.
He attributed the delay to what he described as rapidly emerging risk after an earlier site was ruled out due to fisheries and Indigenous opposition. There's lots of water concerns, and water was one of the most emotional issues of the night. Councillors raised concerns about wells, aquifers, drought, and agricultural impacts. Cody confirmed the plant would require water injection to reduce combustion temperatures and emissions. On the question of environmental impact, his answer was simple.
I will say there's likely going to be an impact. You can't drill a well and expect to say there's not going to be an impact.
Environmental Manager Matt Gorman explained that groundwater studies are underway and required for approval.
There's no way to get an environmental determination without answering that very question. So, and it will be publicly available for everybody to weigh in and read and follow up with further questions.
Results are expected in early 2026 and will be made public through the provincial technical review process. On disaster and liability, councillors asked what happens if something goes wrong, from contaminated wells to equipment failure. Cody said any unforeseen environmental harm would be unacceptable.
I can assure you that if something does pop up in that testing and it becomes unsafe for people, that would cause us to rethink the entire project.
He said post-construction monitoring and strict environmental conditions would be mandatory. On the cost and the commitment, a major sticking point was the project's 25-year capacity payment contract. Councillor Bruce Finney questioned why ratepayers should be locked into fossil fuel infrastructure for decades.
Why has NB Power chosen to commit to a 25-year capacity payment contract relying on fossil fuels? The potential for this technology is to be obsolete before the contract is satisfied is extremely likely.
Cody compared the contract to a mortgage.
The shorter the time period, the more expensive those annual payments are going to be.
He stressed the plant is not going to be built to export power and that any profits from NB Power's trading arm go right back into offsetting rates for clients. So is it a peaker plant? This is a question that resurfaced repeatedly. Councillor Alison Butcher asked bluntly whether the facility was simply a peaker plant under a different name.
Some people could use the label a peaker plant. So that's what's different about this plant, is that it's going to be operating virtually 85% of the time or so in this synchronous condenser mode. That means not burning any fuels, not emitting any carbon.
He himself described it as a Swiss Army knife, capable of short bursts of generation, aka for a peaker plant's purpose, but primarily designed to stabilize a renewable heavy grid. And on some perceived contradictions and confusion, councillors also challenged NB Power over what they described as mixed messaging, warning that the province is approaching power shortages while at the same time exporting electricity to other jurisdictions. Several councillors questioned how those two realities can exist at once and whether exporting power undermines claims of urgency around new generation. Cody responded that much of what is exported is not electricity generated in New Brunswick, but power purchased from elsewhere and resold through NB Power's trading operations. Whew.
So the more electricity we sell actually has an impact to spread more costs over more customers. So you don't see the level of rate increases that we recently seen because we can spread those kilowatt hours or the amount of money we need to run the utility over more people or more accounts. That's necessarily a good thing for the utility as well.
He stressed the proposed RIGS facility is not intended to increase exports, but to address capacity and reliability inside the province.
So we're not building rigs to support export activity.
So why was NB Power surprised? After the meeting, I was able to speak directly with Brad Cody and asked why NB Power says it was surprised by population growth, given years of government policy aimed at attracting more and more people to the province.
What I'd say, there's a difference between plans to grow population and actually seeing the population grow. So one of the comments I made tonight in the public meeting with council was we need to let the facts speak for themselves. And it's one thing for somebody to have an opinion or a vision or a dream, and those are important to move our economy and our society along. There's another thing to actually see the numbers.
Cody said the pace of growth between 2020 and 2024 was unlike anything New Brunswick had experienced in decades. He said regulators require hard data before approving major infrastructure projects, not based on projections or political goals.
But it's really hard to build a power plant and justify to regulators that it's important to have it because somebody said that that's a goal that they want to achieve. We actually have to see the numbers and see the science to back it up.
So, how will this be decided? Multiple regulatory processes remain underway. The project must pass provincial environmental assessment, multiple rounds of technical review, and approval from the Energy and Utilities Board. Cody warned that delays could push the project's in-service date past 2028, increasing the risk of shortages during winter peak demand.
These aren't easy decisions. These do need proper rigor and proper authorities to weigh over it. And we're happy to participate in the process, but that's what it means in terms of timelines. There's tremendous demand across North America for the technology that we have lined up for New Brunswick today. If we let that slip away, so be it. We let it slip away, but people need to understand what the consequence of that would be. It likely means energy shortages starting in 28, 29, 30, 31 until we actually see commissioning in 2032.
And after 2 hours straight, Council adjourned the meeting just before 8 o'clock. Public hearings with NB Power are scheduled to continue in January. Lisa Griffin, coalition organizer for the PCIC Protect the Chignecto Isthmus Coalition, was in attendance and claims NB Power is not presenting accurate data. And we'll hear my talk with Griffin on Monday. Well, that was a doozy. Thanks for sticking through it with me. Questions, comments, corrections, or suggestions, email me, Clinton Davis at chmafm.com. You can also reach out to news@chmafm.com. And for CHMA-FM, I'm Clinton Davis.
Hey, this is Kevin Torrey from Sackville, and you're listening to CHMA.
Hello, you're listening to CHMA 106.9 FM in Sackville, New Brunswick.
And here's Brian Nielsen with your CHMA Sports Update.
Last night to kick off Week 16 in the NFL season and determine NFC West dominance, it was the incredible comeback by the Seattle Seahawks. They defeat in overtime the Los Angeles Rams 38-37. Yeah, a 2-point conversion after the Seattle got the ball back from the Rams meant that they got past them by a point in what is sure to be a preview of the NFC Championship. Over in the association last night, the Atlanta Hawks on the wrong side of a 133-126 decision against the Charlotte Hornets. The Knicks squeaked past the Pacers 114-113 in rematch of last year's Eastern Conference Finals. Heat by 11 over the Brooklyn Nets 106-95. Thunder back on the winning path 122-101 victors over the Los Angeles Clippers. They're 25-2 on the season. Spurs by 25 over the visiting Wizards 119-94. The Toronto Raptors deal a blow to the Bucks. They defeat Milwaukee 111-105. Took overtime for the Pelicans to get past the Houston Rockets 133-128. It was a 2-point difference in overtime that got the Dallas Mavericks past the hard-charging Detroit Pistons 116-114. It was your Denver Chicken Nuggets with the 126-115 victory over the Orlando Magic. Suns by a point over the Warriors 99-98. Lakers by 8 over the Utah Jazz 143-135. And the final game went late into the night, and another victory by a point for a Portland squad. This time, the Trailblazers beat the Sacramento Kings 134-133. And finally, a full slate of games in the NHL to inform you about the Edmonton Oilers with the 3-1 victory over the Boston Bruins. Regional 6 battle between Montreal and Chicago saw Montreal defeat the visitors 4-1. Senators shut out the Penguins out in Canada 4-0 victory for Ottawa. 2-1 final in Tampa Bay, where the Kings beat the Lightning. Capitals shut out the Maple Leafs 4-0. Wild with the 5-2 victory over the Columbus Blue Jackets. Buffalo Sabres 5-3 victors over the Philadelphia Flyers. Rangers in overtime over the Blues 2-1. Flames double up on the Seattle Kraken 4-2 at the Saddle Dome. And finally, it was the Dallas Stars with a 5-3 victory over the San Jose Sharks.
And that was Brian Nielsen. Excuse me, with your CHMA Sports Update. We're a little out of sequence here. I'll get you your Atlantic update now, and then we'll get some weather for you. Excuse me, I'm a little tripped up this morning. A 42-year-old man is facing charges in connection with the theft of expensive tools and equipment from a business in Moncton. New Brunswick RCMP say the tools and equipment were seized following a search of a Savoy Drive property on December 11th after reports of theft at the business on Hump Yard Road. The accused was arrested at the scene without incident and scheduled to appear in court on January 30th. The Nova Scotia RCMP and Halifax police both say no fentanyl was found in illegal cannabis tested in the province, despite the Premier's claim to the contrary. Premier Tim Houston said last week he had directed police to ramp up cannabis enforcement because of the public health risk, saying he was aware of unregulated cannabis laced with traces of fentanyl. Houston said police in law enforcement told him trace amounts of the opioid were found in cannabis that was tested from an illegal dispensary. But the province's two largest police agencies say there's no record of those alleged test results. A New Brunswick's police watchdog has cleared an RCMP officer of wrongdoing after a young man suffered a broken elbow during an arrest in June. The Serious Incident Response Team says the officer in Sussex was called to a group home about a resident being violent and damaging property. The young man was spotted carrying a large piece of asphalt near a broken window. A report from the oversight agency say the man resisted arrest and spit in the officer's face before the Mountie placed the suspect's arm behind his back and then heard a snap, resulting in the broken elbow. And new numbers from Statistics Canada say Nova Scotia's population growth is tapering off. It appears the province's population boom recorded since the COVID-19 pandemic began has finally ended. StatCan data shows that as of October 1st, there's a decline in 1,388 people from July 1st. That tiny 0.13% slide marked the first decline since the same period in 2020 and the first substantial drop since March 2015. And Newfoundland and Labrador's Chief Medical Officer of Health is strongly recommending that everyone 6 months of age and older in the province receive their flu shot as soon as possible. In a release, the Department of Health and Community Services expressed concern over an early start of this year's influenza season across Canada. The agency points to higher than usual flu activity, complications, hospitalizations, and deaths, including children who recently died in Ontario. Residents are encouraged to book their vaccination appointments through the province's website or reach out to a primary care provider. And Mounties arrested a man following the seizure of multiple firearms in a residence in Northwest PEI. As investigators say, a rifle, shotgun, handgun, and ammunition were found during the search of a home in Alberton yesterday. The man has since been released and is scheduled to appear in court in January. In a release, West Prince RCMP say an investigation remains ongoing and warned Islanders about specific regulations regarding possession of firearms. And finally, a Newfoundland volunteer fire captain says prolonged power outages are a safety hazard. Michelle Wells told CBC News that without working phone lines and power, residents have no way to reach first responders in the case of an emergency. Wells' comments come after thousands of residents along the province's North Peninsula lost power for nearly 2 days following heavy winds and snow earlier this week. Wells says poor cell service in certain areas of the province is also cause for concern for the event of an emergency. And that is your CHMA Atlantic update. Let's look into the weather. And we still have a yellow warning for wind, and though the rain has not started, but it is a gray and gloomy day out there. It's warm. Current conditions observed as +8. No wind chill in there just yet, but yeah, that is the wind warning is for this area, and that was called out starting yesterday. We expect winds 70 to 90 kilometers an hour, except gusts of up to 110 kilometers an hour along the Fundy coast late this afternoon and into Saturday morning. So please be careful. The tree branches and things flying around is, always dangerous. And be sure to check your travel plans before you go out there. The 7-day forecast is cloudy today with periods of rain beginning near noon, about 2 to 4 millimeters of rain expected. The wind southwest 30, gusting to 60, 50 gusting to 70 by this afternoon, a high of 12. Tonight, rain at times heavy, ending overnight, and then partially cloudy with a 60% chance of flurries. Rainfall about 10 to 20 millimeters. Rain south 60, gusting to 90, becoming southwest 40, gusting to 60 after midnight. Low of -2. Wind chilled -9 overnight. For Saturday, the 20th of December, a mix of sun and cloud, clearing late in the morning. Wind southwest 30, gusting to 50, 40 gusting to 60, and diminishing to 20, gusting to 40 late in the afternoon. Temperature rising, temperature falling to -5 tomorrow morning, and then rising. Wind chilled -14 in the morning, -9 in the afternoon. For Saturday night, increased cloudiness with a low of -8. For Sunday, flurries or rain showers, high of +3. Sunday night, cloudy with a 60% chance of flurries and a low of -3. Flurries on Monday, straight up, high of -3. Cloudy with a 60% chance of flurries and a low of -14 on Monday night. Tuesday, a mix of sun and cloud, high of -7. Flurries on Tuesday night with a low of -9. Flurries continuing into Wednesday, Christmas Eve with a high of -6. Wednesday night, cloudy with a 60% chance of flurries and a low of -13. For Thursday, Christmas Day, a mix of sun and cloud with a 30% chance of flurries and a high of -7. That is your CHMA weather. A couple announcements here coming up from the staff here at CHMA, and we'll get some music going for you. And that's Brian Nielsen with your CHMA Sports Update. Please be sure to check out Brian's show on Mondays at 8:30 a.m. for more sports commentary.
Hey folks, Ducky's legendary Boxing Day Bash is now back. Roxy and the Buzz Band are bringing the party this year. If you're looking for a wild night out after Christmas, this is the one. Expect high-energy dance hits, iconic rock anthems, and even today's biggest country bangers. So if you want to dance, this is the place to be. The advance tickets are now only $15 at Ducky's or $20 at the door. The party is happening December 26th from 9 to midnight, so don't miss it, folks.
Thanks so much, Ashna. And
Viewpoints Radio.
I'm having a terrible morning here. I'm getting all my sequences out of order. So sorry. I have no control anymore. Sorry, folks. I'm in a bit of a hurry to get out the door, so my mind is in a couple of different places. It is 9:26. I have to head over to the transmitter site over at the top of the library right now. Craig and I are going to go over because we have to take a look at the old transmitter. Everything is well and good, but pretty soon we are going to be losing our analog connection with the renovations at the library, so we have to make a plan to find another way to get from our studios here at the top of the Student Center over to the transmitter site that is on top of the library. Those two pink cans up there on top of each other, that's us, that's CHMA. So we're taking a look at the equipment, seeing what we got to work with, and we're meeting with the university to make some finalized plans. So I'm going to jet at 9:27. This is Huron with the track Sycamore. We have Andrew Bird with Captain I, Abby Woods with Too Late, Cat Power with Try Me, Jana with Distance, and Anthony Akaanui with Baby Bloom, all here on the Voice of the Marshes. And we'll see you again on Monday. And Craig will be up at 12 o'clock. And have a great day.
He's keeping busy. He's bleeding stones with his machinations and his palindromes. Anything but hear a voice that says it, we're all basically alone. Poor Professor pinching at only good intentions when he put his Bunsen burners all away and turn into a playground in a petri dish where single cells would swing the fist at anything that looks like it needs a break. In a nature show that some call home display, it was anyhow his intuition say, anyhow his intuition say, we all live in a capital lot. We're keeping it clean from the ground up to the sky. Some show mercy while others are painfully shy. He just wants to know the reason why. Oh, he just wants to know the reason why. Yeah, he just wants to know the reason why. Oh, why do they congregate